definitely not sounds you would expect to be coming out of a CB radio, are they? Well, this isn't one of your everyday run-of-the-mill CB radios. It is a CB radio and VHF FM receiver as well. So back in the day, this would have been a scanner. Scanner without the scanning feature, but it was a monitor. But now I just did one video recently. This is a Lafayette Telsat 150. I just did a recent video on another Lafayette, which was also a 23-channel CB and monitor radio as well. Now, that one used crystals. This one is tunable. So you can see there's a little dial there. So, now normally on the channel position, or the rotary channel switch on 23-channel radios, you'll notice there's usually always an empty spot in between channel 22 and 23. In this radio, there's actually a little red dot there, and when you go to that red dot, you can see the illumination comes on. So when it's in CB, it's in normal CB, and then when you swing around in between 23 and 22 to that little red dot, that activates the VHF FM receiver. Now, nowadays, the channel coverage, or the channel spread of this thing, I don't want to say it's useless, because it actually does still have some use today. Because the weather channels, the NOAA weather radio channels, fall in this area. So it can still be used to pick up NOAA weather radio. And one thing I don't like about some of the modern radios that have the NOAA weather channels, they don't have all of them in there. Some of them have 3, some might have 5 of the channels, but it's very rare that you see very many of them that have all of them. So that's the one advantage. This is tunable, so if it can be picked up, this will pick it up. Now I just have a short little, 16-inch whip antenna. Once I get it done the really quick overview here, I'll show you the back of it, and then I'll pop the bottom cover off so you can see the inside of it. But I just have a little short, 16-inch antenna there off a piece of test equipment. That's all it is. But it has 2 antenna jacks on the back, and just like that other Lafayette that I did, you could use a single antenna or 2 independent antennas. A little switch on the back. But like I say, the frequency range, not really that useful, but like I say, it's still handy because it picks up NOAA weather radio. So if we just start out at the top, now, a lot of the stuff you're going to hear, it's digital, because most everything in this frequency spectrum nowadays is digital. You're not going to really find any voice communications here. So there we go.
Today's high temperature was 73 degrees and the low 60. A trace of precipitation fell today. No snow fell today.
No snow. I hope not.
The record high for tomorrow is 88, which occurred in 1941, and the record low is 31, which occurred
so you can
in
see
1974.
It works really well for picking up NOAA weather radio. That's the most local NOAA station for me.
7:07 a.m. Life-threatening rain, wind, and storms.
Now, this does have 2 separate squelches. It has a squelch for the VHF receiver and a squelch for the CB. So this is actually, if you notice, only the front section is turning. The front section is for the VHF, and then the rear section, that's for the CB radio. Now, I just got this one. I did not really need this. I already had 2 of them, but this one's in better condition than the 2 that I already had. Someone, when I did the video on the other radio, I had said there's only one Lafayette that I still need, and it's a really, really rare one. I'll be lucky if I ever find that one. But, said that they had seen this one for sale, and like I say, I really didn't need it, but the condition's a lot better. You can see there's a shiny spot there. So this has what I call the protective film of dirt. So it's got a haze to it, so you can see, there, and but a little bit of glass cleaner. Yeah, it was just like 2 or 3 wipes with a microfiber towel and some glass cleaner. Cleaned up really nice, so there's no doubt in my mind this will clean up, extra nice. A lot of people see dirty radios and, oh man, it's an ugly, nasty looking piece of junk. Well, you'd be surprised. Some of the nastiest looking, gross looking, sticky, gooey radios you can imagine frequently turn out to be the absolute best looking and near mint condition radios once you get that, what I call, protective film off, because that's almost what it acts like. A lot of times you'll see the chrome, because even if it doesn't metal, if it's metal or plastic, the chrome is real chrome. Even if it's a plastic bezel, doesn't matter if it's pot metal, what it is. If it's got chrome on it, if it looks like chrome, it's real chrome. Because yes, you can chrome plate plastic. The problem with chrome is it does pit over the decades. But if it gets this, just atmospheric haze, or especially if, the owner was a smoker, the tar and nicotine, if you get that good protective film on there and they never cleaned it, actually it helps to prevent pitting, because it's a barrier of oxygen, from oxygen and moisture and other shit in the air, from getting to the chrome surface. So I actually prefer to find stuff with that, what I call the protective film. So now this does not receive on the CB. Is completely inoperative on receive. I don't want to say dead silence. There's a tiny bit of noise, but doesn't completely non-responsive to the volume control. So that's going to need to be diagnosed at some point. I'm not going to do this one right now, rebuild it, but I will probably stick this one on a front burner because it is in nice condition and they're not that hard to work on. So let me pause the video. I'll show you the back of it, and I'll take the bottom cover off so you can see the inside, and be right back. And here we are on the inside. The light's a little bright. Turn my voltage down a little bit. Yeah, it's a little better. Now, the back side, just like the other radio I showed a few weeks ago, has dual connectors. Has one for the VHF antenna and one for the CB. Now, there's a switch down here for antenna. You can use common or independent. So an independent, you need a CB antenna and a VHF antenna. If you have it in the common, then you only need to use the CB antenna, but you need to have a CB antenna that can also receive, 100. So in other words, it needs to not block out from 148 to 175 megahertz, which is, as you can see, which is what this one will receive. Now it does have, if you notice on the front there, it's upside down, but it has manual X1, X2. So this also has 2 crystal positions. So you could stick in 2 crystals right there. There's none in the radio right now. But there you go. So there's the inside. So here, everything here, and in the back here, this is all pretty much all CB. It will share some for especially the audio circuit and whatnot. But as far as the actual receiver circuits, the CB and the VHF FM system are completely separated. So basically everything inside this little shield box here is the VHF FM receiver, and then the AM CB portion will have its own receiver, transmitter circuit. But there you go. There's just a little view of the inside, and I don't see anything obviously wrong. But as old as this is, original electrolytic capacitors, it could be any number of things why it's not receiving. And it's not receiving on any channel, so good chance the oscillator circuit could be down, something simple like that. So I'll get her, once I get to this, like I say, I'll probably put this one on the front burner because it doesn't really look that bad to work on. Not a extreme amount of electrolytic capacitors, so it's not going to take that long to recap it. I haven't even tried transmitting with it yet. I won't worry about that. The first thing I will do when I get something like this is replace the electrolytic capacitors, inspect all the solder joints, make sure everything looks okay. Once I get all that done, then I'll go in and start doing troubleshooting. Because I've wasted too much of my life troubleshooting radios, mine or customers, just to find out it's a bad electrolytic capacitor, which is something I was going to replace anyhow. So I found it much easier, just replace the caps first. If your problems go away, fantastic. Thumbs up. You just saved yourself or your customers either time or money. If it didn't, then you can go in and do the troubleshooting. But like I said, this one looks like it's completely untinkered with. All the coils are still sealed with wax. It does look like that one may have been adjusted. May have been. Yeah, it looks like that one was turned. So, but once I get this back on the bench one day, in the not too distant future, probably within the next few months, I'll make sure I do a good in-depth, detailed documentation of the actual work that I do to it. So there you go. There's just a preview of the Lafayette Telsat 150.